When we hire and we build our teams, we've got to consider what's called group dynamics. And there's four phases of group dynamics. First of all, the team forms and comes together. And it's like the honeymoon period. I remember when I met my wife for the first time, I was on my best behaviour. I smiled, I smelt good, I brushed my teeth, I did all the things, I said all the right things in that honeymoon period. And it's the same when a new person comes to the business. Everybody's on their best behaviour and you tolerate any behaviour. And that's the first stage. The second stage of group dynamics is what's called the storming phase. And this is where we start to have friction with others. We say the shit hits the fan, and I'm not going to tolerate that person's bad breath anymore. I'm not going to tolerate that person smoking ciggies at the back door. I'm not going to tolerate this person's language pattern. And we start to clash. And once we start to clash, that's when we start to have cultural issues. And a lot of businesses never get out of the storming phase. They bring a new person in, they go straight to the storming phase. They get somebody out, the culture disappears, they remain in that storming phase. When they eventually get out of that, they get to what's called normalizing. And in that normalization period, everybody's just getting average results. You pick up the phone, you make a call, you close 1 in 10 deals. That's nothing special. You can't scale or grow a business at that level. What the business has to get to is the fourth stage, which is called the performing stage. But 80% of businesses never get there. And it's because of that culture. And one of the biggest things that prevents them from getting there is their outlook on conflict. There's two approaches to conflict. There's a harmony approach to conflict, which says, let's just bury everything under the rug. If there's a problem, let's sweep it under the rug. If there's an argument with you or I, let's just agree to disagree and get on with it. But eventually, over time, that fire builds up, it builds up, it builds up, and it turns into a massive explosion. And from a small conflict that you and I had that we could have solved immediately, it's turned into like an atomic bomb, and now it impacts everybody. So in terms of impact on culture, one bad hire can actually impact the workflow of 300 other people in an organisation. One person will impact 300 lives. And the big problem with the culture is that there's too many harmonious organisations. It's the kumbaya, it's the call to God moment, let's just get along and be friends, but let's not deal with the conflict. So that's one approach. The other approach is what we call is the conflict outlook. As soon as there's a problem, we deal with it. If you and I have a conflict, we deal with it immediately so it goes no further. If we have a conflict with another department, we deal with it today and we get on with it, because we've got to get out of the storming, we've got to get past the norming, and only then can we get to the performing stage. And so dealing with conflict is a major part of that. And if we're dealing with conflict and we have that conflict approach, then when we induct new people into the organisation, we can actually educate them on how we deal with conflict. So from day one, that person says, well, if I've got a problem with Daniel, I'm going to deal with it head on. And it gets solved and everybody moves forward. So they're the four stages of group dynamics. And 80% of businesses never get through to performing because they can't deal with the conflicts.